Hey everybody, my name is Gabriel Suarez, and this is the introduction to my pistol gunfighting program in its entirety, complete, beginning to end. Now, some background. I have been teaching this stuff now for 30 years, 3 decades. I started in 1995, actually a little bit before that, teaching people in my agency and other police officers as well. And then later, soon thereafter, in mid '90s at Front Sight, where Mark Fleischman and I wrote the entire program for that institution. Him and I did it, and we didn't take credit for it, obviously, but we did, and we ran thousands of students through our program. And that is where I got my, as the author notes, my 10,000 hours of experience. And from there, I branched out into other organizations and eventually founding Suarez International, where I trained all over the world, virtually every state in the United States, several countries south of the border, Latin America, South America, Africa as well, both Eastern and Western Europe, and a few other places. And I trained with some of the world's best gunfighters. And every time that I trained with somebody, I learned something, either in how to teach a topic better. You learn interesting things when you're teaching the topic that you know best in several different languages. So some shortcuts in presentation just to make it easier for the student to learn. And I also learned some better ways to do things from these guys. And I've always had an open mind about this. Whenever I've learned a new and better solution, I've always incorporated, with attribution, of course, because I always like to give credit, but I integrated into our program. And so it's my opinion that today, in 2025, my pistol gunfighting program is the best in the world. Now, I'll quantify that. Gunfighting, pistol gunfighting, not pistol competition. There seems to be a move in the industry to make competition the focus of everything, and it's not. Shouldn't be. Competitive shooting and gunfighting are two different things. Do they share attributes? Of course they do. But they do not take into consideration the disparity of initiative. They don't take into consideration tactics. They don't take into consideration the human factor. The only considerations that they have is speed and accuracy, which in actuality, in my experience, in doing this for 30 years now, is a very, very small part of the situation. And in my program, I try to include those other aspects. So you have the complete pie. Now, I want to say, 30 years in the making. But there's also an additional 20 years on the front end of that, because much of my pistol program, in fact, any firearms program, is based on martial arts. Which is where I got my start, back in 1970. And I have integrated the concepts and the ideas and the methods that I learned at training in old school martial arts and into pistol fighting. And, guys, fighting is fighting. There are attributes that you learn from every discipline. And again, I want to quantify that: fighting, not sports. Competitive shooting and gunfighting are not the same any more than jiu-jitsu, grappling, and street fighting are the same. They share attributes, they share some similarities, but they're completely different. The stakes are much higher in the street. They are much more unpredictable. There will always be other adversaries involved. There will be chaotic, dynamic events. There will be the unexpected. There are no rules. There are no limits to what you can do. And so we try and keep an open mind about this without excluding anybody. But the reality is my focus is gunfighting. I want my students to be better at killing the adversaries that are trying to kill them. I'm not going to mince any words. I'm not going to use any vague notions. I'm going to tell you exactly what I think and why I think it. One of the things that I do in all my training is I always include the why. I think adults want to know why. They don't just want to be told, do it this way and shut up because I know more than you. That's an automatic door closer in my experience. And so I'm going to show you why I do things the way. I'm going to show you how I do them, and then I'm going to show you and tell you why I do them that way. Now, you may or may not agree, but again, this material, has been built on street fighting and training all over the world and operational use before I ever started teaching a thing. And there's a reason why I do things the way I do. And I will share that with you in complete and utter honesty, and for you to determine one way or the other if it works for you or not. I very much follow the Bruce Lee idea that the man is more important than the system. And so I'll present my system as something that you will absorb. I don't expect you to mold yourself to my system, but rather my system will mold itself to you. Because not everybody's built the same, not everybody has the same physical capabilities and so on. And so the idea is, let's determine what we want the outcome to be and then figure out a way to get there, rather than mold you and force you to become something that you can never be. Right? 5-foot guy, can't be an NBA basketball player, but he might be one of the strongest deadlifters you ever see. So again, the system should mold itself to the student, and that's what my objective is. I'm going to present this program in its entirety. I'm going to include basics. I'm going to include everything that as Rush Limbaugh used to say, a young skull full of mush that wants to become a gunfighter, study this program, and everything will be in there. Everything from selection of the best equipment and why, the fundamentals of marksmanship and how they are applied, tactics, human factors, the disparity of initiative, proactive, reactive, short range, long range, gun manipulations. All of those things are going to be in here in its entirety. My goal is that this program will replace the range training that at some point I will probably stop doing, probably in the very, very near future. And not only that, but also serve as a historical index as to where we took things in 2025. We don't fight the same as we did in 1975. We don't train physically the same as we do in 1975. Now, not to put down those people or sneer at them or scoff at them, because we stand on the shoulders of those giants to attain the things that we attain in this age. But hopefully in the future, when things have developed beyond the point that we have taken them, our students and the students of our students and so on will look at this production and go, yeah, that's the way they did it back then, and that's why we do it this way today. That was the foundation, and so on. And nothing could make an instructor happier or prouder than to make a student that is better than he ever was. And so here we go, guys. Thank you for joining me on this adventure.